Hello friends, my name is James Hawkins, and as always I'm joined by my good friends Bryan and Anthony Alessino, as well as my younger brother, Jack Hawkins. On this show we're all about parlays, overs, unders, spreads, and money lines. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Parlay-Vous. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Parlay-Vous podcast. We have no Alessino. He's at home, but he's not with us. We have Jack Hawkins. We have Bryan and Chaboy, the D. Malenko of podcasting, the man of 1,000 nicknames, Jimmy Hawkins. The big game came and went. We have a new champion. We have a two-time champion, potentially looking to chase the first three-peat in the history of the NFL next year. Before we really get into the game, and maybe this is a backwards way of doing it, but I don't care, let's discuss overtime.
Oh, the rule?
Because as we know, is this Alessino's fucking sad excuse for not coming?
He said he can connect in 10, I'll jump in. Bringing the dogs back from a walk, dude.
Okay, he can jump in when he wants. Just grab me the keyboard so I can get him in, Jack.
I can do that.
So, obviously, new overtime rules after the Josh Allen Bills failed to do anything of significance a couple of years ago in the second round of the playoffs against the Chiefs. Back and forth game. Obviously, everyone knows the deal. 13 seconds, yada, yada, yada. So, new overtime rules. Everyone knows what the new overtime rules were. Those rules came with a new individual set of rules for postseason games that we have not seen in action until the Super Bowl. How fitting, in only the second Super Bowl ever to go to an overtime. We experienced these new overtime rules where no matter what, both teams are going to get a possession. After that, if the game's still tied, it goes on to sudden death. And, pretty standard, pretty basic overtime rules. My one problem with it is, why does the clock not matter? Because I think you, Bryan, we didn't watch the game together. We were all, as the time is expiring at the end of the game, we're all going, timeout, timeout, timeout. Call the fucking timeout. What are they doing? And as we're saying that, Tony Romo was explaining 2 seconds before the snap that the clock is irrelevant. It's going to restart a new period at the end if they don't score because they're entitled to their entire possession. Fine, I get that. Put no time on the clock then.
Right.
Because the clock should matter. The clock should have to matter.
Yeah.
Yes, you're entitled to your possession inside of the fucking clock. Because otherwise, what is the fucking point?
Yeah.
So...
That's the thing, though. Football's always been a time-based game, especially with the 2-minute warning, shit like that, understanding how to use your timeout.
Also, no 2-minute warning in the overtime, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't think they stopped it at 2 minutes.
The timing of football and the essence of the game, it really comes down to how you use your time. Is it a possession of ball held, timeouts taken, timeouts remaining. There's another thing that would go into that, but you understand it's
what I will say is that like everything in major American sports or in sport in general, this is still better than what we had 4 or 5 years ago. And I believe the competition committee will look into it. This is the first time they had a chance to see it in the postseason.
Right.
I believe the competition committee will take a good stern look at it this summer, this spring, really, and maybe make some adjustments to it, and it'll only get better. But yeah, that's my one big issue with it is the clock. And now I guess we can move on to discussing the decision that Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers made.
Yeah.
Decision or the lack thereof of information?
No.
Well, it seems
their decision.
It's getting...
Okay.
Yeah, they did make a decision regardless, but there is a lot of weird speculation around their understanding of the rules, it seems like.
Well, there's a lot of weird shit going on. You heard all of these guys basically were like, they ran it over very quickly with us on the sideline, what the rules were. And even you see video of Kyle Juszczyk right before they go on the field. He said, so even if we score a touchdown, they get the ball back, right?
Tough.
And then meanwhile, the Chiefs are like, we've been drilling this since August.
Right. Patrick Mahomes, I'm sorry not to cut you off, but in that same clip, right before, they were both, Mahomes was mic'd up too, and he's saying they wanted the ball. He's walking up the sideline, they want the ball.
Yeah.
Almost in, shock. Okay.
You look at the clip of his face as Fred Warner says we want the ball, and he knows he just won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And his face says, I just won my 3rd Super Bowl. And then in that same clip, he goes to the bench, and he's like, they want it.
Yeah.
And Kelsey's like, they want the ball?
Yeah.
Give them the fucking ball.
Yeah.
They want to give us the advantage. Now, so I kind of understand I kind of understand Kyle Shanahan's reasoning that he given, saying if they did match us, we wanted to be the team that had the ball last. That's fine, I guess. I would almost rather hear my defense was tired, because that was the speculation, was that the defense was gassed out.
Right.
And they wanted to give the defense some more time to rest up before they had to get on the field.
Which would also be a viable reason if you
I
did
would
say that.
I would accept that more than we want to be the third team, because you still have to score a touchdown. They
Right.
didn't. You still have to stop them. They didn't. And then, like the Chiefs all said after the fact, which obviously hindsight is what it is, they were going for two no matter what. Because let's just say they do score, right? Take this game out of it. Let's say they do go down and score, right? And there's only, let's just for fun say 2.5 minutes left. What are the odds you're getting a stop and getting the ball back with enough time?
It's very unlikely.
Chances are,
Yeah.
I think I know obviously analytics will come into this eventually. I think analytically, momentum-wise, and for the sake of like a winner's mentality, you don't want to give them the fucking ball back and give them the opportunity to just milk clock, get down into field goal range, kick a field goal, and walk off. I'd rather my offense wins it, especially when you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback.
I was about to say, you also have to, I mean, even with the overtime too, you're still giving the ball back to Patrick Mahomes. And I know we make this point a lot, but in the Super Bowl, I mean, it's even more like points come out of premium, like we said before. The mistakes have to be minuscule, almost minuscule. And Patrick Mahomes, I mean, the Niners have been here before, but Patrick Mahomes has been here winning before. So I don't know. I agree with you, though. I think if he came out, said the defense was gassed, we didn't want to risk a quick score and then have to match, then that makes total sense. But to say that you're going to bank on the fact that Mahomes isn't going to score on the first drive just seems kind of...
I mean, for every advantageous arena that you could take with this argument, advantage goes to the team who has the ball second. Because you know exactly what you have to do.
Right.
If they kick a field goal like in this situation the Niners did, you know, all right, if it's fucking 4th and 3 in field goal range, we can kick this thing.
Yeah, and we'll just keep it moving.
If you're when you have the ball first, you kind of, I mean, honestly, you have to take the gamble. Do I kick the field goal and try to play defense, or do I just go for broke here? Because chances are, if we kick the field goal, they're going to just walk down the field and beat us anyway. You know? Especially the clock thing is the weirdest thing to me, because I'm wondering if they all knew.
If who knew?
The Niners. The Chiefs obviously knew, because they didn't give a fuck about the clock. I'm wondering if the Niners knew that the clock didn't matter, if I'm being completely honest with you, because maybe that's fucking foolish to say.
You would also have to assume that if they didn't know the ruling on the overtime, then they would assume it was the old overtime, where if this game ends, then it's just sudden death. It would be. Because we can't draw it. We can't tie in the Super Bowl.
Right, yeah. So you would just assume... Yeah, but in all overtime...
But still, in that instance, you're still trying to get the ball first.
In all overtime in the past, in every iteration of overtime in the NFL, well, I guess we have to stick it to this new iteration of overtime. In the regular season, new rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I go down and I get the ball first and I kick a field goal, because a touchdown ends the game. If I go down and I kick a field goal and you get the ball back and the time expires in the middle of your possession, I win the game.
Yeah.
There is no second overtime. You get to continue your possession. That is a unique rule for the postseason overtime rules. And I get the idea of you're entitled to the entirety of your possession. Like I said, the idea that the clock is meaningless to me makes no fucking sense. Like, if that's what we're going to do, just do it like college overtime. Take the clock off the board completely, and you have
Just
4
run it.
downs.
Yeah, basically.
Every fucking, you have 4 downs to get 10 yards. When you run out of your 4 downs, it's over. You turn the ball over. Because, I mean, for the most part, I don't understand what the fuck we're doing with the clock part of it.
Yeah.
But, as it was, as it shall be, Patrick Mahomes found a way again to get it done. And, I mean, as someone who had a large chunk of change on the Chiefs' money line, the minute the Niners kicked that field goal, I was like, I won.
Yeah.
I won.
So, in the game itself, I felt like in the beginning, obviously, slow start to the game. Not too much going on. Seems like a lot of it popped off towards the end, but I did feel like in the beginning of the game, I don't know if it was the Niners defense, pass protecting the receivers very well, or they just weren't letting Mahomes throw down the field. It felt like everything was a drop off. Felt like it was a lot of runs. They were not letting him kind of bomb it, and then I think somewhere in the middle of the second quarter, they just let him go, and it was the pass to, I think it was Noah Gray at that point that got them down.
Yeah, I think so.
But then didn't go back to it until the third and fourth quarter, and then they started airing it out, and all of a sudden it started working out. It felt like.
Well, and this is the big part that I guess I'll hammer home now. This was supposed to be the down year for the Chiefs.
Right.
This was supposed to be a soft, quote-unquote, rebuilding year for the Chiefs. They had seemingly no weapons outside of Rice and Travis Kelce. And, by the way, Patrick Mahomes, highest cap hit in the NFL this year. So I would like to just permanently put to rest this idea that you can only win a Super Bowl within the first 5 years of a quarterback's rookie deal. Because let's look at the Final Four this year, and I don't know if we could get OTC pulled up on someone's phone.
What are you looking for?
But quarterback cap hits, or NFL cap hits, because let's look at the Final Four. You had Patrick Mahomes as the number one cap hit in the NFL this year. Lamar Jackson has to be number 2 or 3.
Goff is
Jared
still
Goff is that's my point. And then Purdy's the outlier.
Deal, yeah.
But 3 of the 4 fucking teams, and Purdy is a clear outlier in this 49ers team that's got the money spent everywhere the fuck else, that's got a who's who of all-stars at every position on the field. Purdy being the outlier, the other 3 teams that made it to the conference championship game had quarterbacks that had to be in the top 5 cap hits.
Trying to see if I can track it by cap hits. I have the most paid, like highest salary, obviously, but it's not listing cap hits for some reason.
You know, I'm not going to put it past the Chiefs this year, especially because this is the most down year like we were saying, this is the most down year they have. This is the worst offense they've put on the field. Isaiah Pacheco couldn't get going, and he's the second spark behind the passing game? He's the only... Him and Jerick McKinnon, and did we even see Jerick McKinnon?
Well, Jerick McKinnon was coming off of an injury for this game.
Exactly.
We did see Jerick McKinnon.
Did we see any change of pace backs that weren't Pacheco? Because Pacheco was in there all the time, blocking too.
I mean, Clyde took a few snaps, Jerick McKinnon took a few snaps, but...
nothing significant.
Which brings me to my other point that I wanted to make. The part of this Chiefs team this year that was different from every other year in this Patrick Mahomes era has been they wanted to get back to being an honest football team. They wanted to keep you honest. They wanted to have a balanced attack. We're going to play really good defense. We're going to have a balanced offensive attack, and we're going to not just put ourselves behind the sticks routinely. So that's why at points during this game, I was getting frustrated because we just keep watching them hand the ball off the middle and get stuffed.
But you know what? That's winning football.
100%. What you get
Mahomes' cap hit is $58 million. So.
this past season.
This past season,
this past season that just ended,
was
37.1.
It's going up to 58.
Who?
Then 60, 63, 59 drops down to 27.
So what was?
Also, he's looking to restructure, so that could change.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he's like outside of the top 8
Were you looking for Goff?
in total money. Yeah.
Goff is going to be a $32 million hit.
Last season.
Last
this
season,
past
he
season that
was
just ended.
30.
$30 million for Jared Goff, and then what was Lamar?
Lamar's probably like 33, 32.
Well,
He just resigned.
being that it was a new contract, it might not be that high, but it's got to be in the sub-30s.
Lamar this year was 22. Next year he'll be 32.
Yeah.
Holy fuck! In 26 he goes up to $74 million.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That'll be a kick the can down the line situation
God.
when we get
Yeah,
there.
they gotta hire that Saints guy who knows how to fucking do that shit.
well, it looks
Like
like it's
the
structured
the
that way
Taysom
because it
Hill
looks like this
contract.
last year he's only getting 12 million. His cut. If he's cut, dead money is 12 million. Cap savings 0. And then in 2029 he's signed, but it's a $0 salary right now. He's doing some little Saints stuff
$0
like that.
cap. Yeah, it's a ghost year.
this is a.
It's a ghost year to dump excess money onto
Mhm.
and extend him for another year.
I bet they'll
To avoid
split.
that,
They'll
yeah.
split the 70 in half, and then they'll put 12 mil on it, and then they'll split the.
They'll
chunk
do
of it
what they'll
into
do
3
is they'll
and
take
4.
that 70 number, they'll cut a fat signing bonus, convert it to a signing bonus, and then they'll kick another however much over the course of the next 2 years to spread it thin that way. But yeah, the point that gets lost in the sauce here and missing with this Chiefs team and this Super Bowl game, this championship game that the Chiefs put out there, the defense is really fucking good. The Chiefs defense has been really fucking good all year, and
it was the standouts too.
all year they were kind of like quoted as like this middle of the pack defense. They're not going to get blown out, but they're not going to fucking hold teams to 0. And we just need to acknowledge a couple of things here. They largely shut Christian McCaffrey off. The great white hope, Christian McCaffrey.
I don't know if you can say that.
Okay, 3.6 yards per carry, 1 touchdown, 1 fumble lost. They shut him off.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
not a
I
Christian
mean,
McCaffrey
They
stat
turned
160 all-purpose.
3.6 yards per carry. They shut Christian McCaffrey off as a running back. They did not allow them to attack and be ahead of the sticks routinely throughout the game. And they forced Brock Purdy to beat them with his arm, which
to an extent he did.
Brock Purdy played a hell of a game. Do not
Yeah.
get me wrong.
No, he did.
But the Chiefs' defense made the plays when they needed to. And, oh, by the way, who was out there making the plays? The same guy that's making the plays all year for the Chiefs on defense, number 22, Trent McDuffie. Every time these boys need a big play, there's 22 flashing on your screen.
Is that a DB?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether
Safety or DB?
cornerback.
Corner.
Whether it be on the 3rd and 4 at the end of the game, when they sent the blitz to force the field goal to get them the ball back late in the game, Trent McDuffie comes screaming off the edge and gets in Brock's face.
Is McDuffie a veteran of the league?
No,
or
he's a rookie or a second-year guy.
Second-
He's relatively new.
He comes flying in off, screaming in off the edge, getting in Brock's face, forcing the incompletion. Then, on the 3rd down in overtime that forced the field goal, he was also Chris Jones comes unblocked. Because why? Because McDuffie comes flying out of the slot and eats up a block, and Chris Jones gets unblocked, incomplete pass there. Those 2 plays won them the game. As far as I'm concerned, those 2 plays, in theory, won them the football game. Those are the 2 biggest moments of the game, and McDuffie and the Chiefs defense came up huge.
Do you think Jones, because Jones had a couple of quarterback hits, like a pretty significant, like 3 or 4.
Chris Jones played well.
I was going to say, you think there's
Yeah.
ever a shot in hell that a defensive player wins Super Bowl MVP like that?
Yeah, I mean, fucking, what's his name did it for the Seahawks 10 years ago.
Bobby Wagner.
Not Bobby Wagner, the other linebacker on that team.
Linebacker.
The other
Not
inside
not
linebacker on
Chancellor.
that Seahawks team. It wasn't Bobby Wagner, I don't think. Maybe it was Bobby Wagner, and I'm being dumb. But yeah, because that game involved like a scoop and score or a pick 6 touchdown and a safety, and he had like a sack or
Chaos
2.
Spikes?
No,
Smith.
Malcolm Smith. He won MVP, right?
Yeah, he returned an interception for 69 yards, recovered a fumble, and made 9 tackles. This man was out here.
Mhm.
Oh my god.
Has a D tackle ever
No,
won Super Bowl MVP?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe, but
Only guys I
probably
can think
not.
of, like Mean Joe Green, maybe? Maybe,
While we're here, a little fun, silly things to talk about. Mecole Hardman became the first player to score a touchdown in a Super Bowl and play for the Jets in the same season since 1969 when the Jets won the Super Bowl. So
way to be silly.
that's a fun little fact. While we're talking Kansas City defense here, I want to pose a question. Now, this is probably more for Bryan and Dallasino if he was here, but, the dogs needed a walk. Because, Jack, I don't know if you have the experience to answer the question. Is Spags the greatest defensive coordinator ever to live? Because let's look at the resume now, and if you could pull it up for me, because I don't want to misquote here. I don't remember if he was still with the team in 2012 or if he had left to coach the Rams by then. But I believe he's got 4 Super Bowl wins across 2 different teams and had to beat Tom Brady twice to do it.
And after this discussion, I'd like to raise you.
He's got 4 Super Bowls.
Two with the Giants, 2 with the Chiefs, or 1 and 3.
Let's see. Why can't you just give me... I think 1 is with the Giants, but it doesn't tell me.
Let me see years coached.
Here's we go. He won with the Giants. It looks like.
That's the 2007 Giants.
And then he won with the Chiefs. It looks like.
Chiefs over the Niners, Chiefs over the Niners, and then Chiefs over the Eagles.
There you go.
Right?
I'll confirm.
Chiefs over the Niners,
Chiefs
over
over the
Niners,
Eagles.
Chiefs over the Eagles,
And
and then Giants over the Patriots in 2007.
Niners over the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So he was there for all 3 Chiefs runs.
So he's won 4 Super Bowls across 2 teams. Had to beat Brady to do it once in the Super Bowl. I don't know. I don't want to misquote if they beat
and he
Brady.
had to beat Philly before the blueprint. I will specify.
Did he have to beat Brady in that 2020 playoff run to get to the Super Bowl?
I don't even know.
in that 2019 season?
Was he a Patriot then?
That's what I'm asking.
I don't think so. I think he was.
2019, he was on the Kansas City Chiefs at that point.
Yeah, I'm saying, was Brady? Did they have to beat Brady in the playoffs to get there that year? Regardless, my man has 4 Super Bowl wins as a defensive coordinator across 2 separate teams, across 3 separate decades now. He was coaching as a defensive coordinator in 2007 when the game was completely different than it is now, and has translated all the way through now. Has not had the success as a head coach, but Steve Spagnuolo is a guy, he's a game plan guy. He's not one of these guys that relies on his scheme. He's going to come up with a solid game plan for what it was. He fucking found a way to beat 2007 Superman Tom Brady when no one else could do it. And do you remember how they did that? They pressured the fuck out of him.
And then that became the mantra for a very long time. Was if you get in Brady's face, he's in trouble.
You could watch highlights from Super Bowl 42. Tom Brady is throwing passes with his eyes shut when Strahan and OC and Tuck are still not near him yet.
Yeah.
Because they rattled this man so hard that he was fucking scared. He was playing a little scared in the pocket, afraid to get hit. That was the same season Strahan broke the sack record, I do so believe. And then he comes in this era, 13 years later, and wins 3 out of 5 Super Bowls. In this new era, and again, same deal with the defense. He's not just married to some scheme. He sent his pressure when he needed to against the Niners on Sunday. 3rd and 4, game on the line, you bet your ass you're getting pressure. 3rd and 3, game on the line in overtime, we're sending pressure. Dare you to beat me.
And to bottle up McCaffrey, like we were saying, is actually kind of crazy because you've seen the betting lines. He's averaging 2 touchdowns a game, the yards. Because I feel like if Christian McCaffrey probably was a bigger factor, I think this game's a lot different.
That's not to say McCaffrey didn't do his thing. He did do his thing for a little bit there, but the one huge touchdown that he scored was on a trick play double pass. So, it's not like he just ripped them up the A-gap for 40 yards that way.
Right.
And, yeah, I think Spags belongs in the conversation, and I know he has a special place in our hearts as New Yorkers. We're not Giants fans, but Bryan is. But just as New Yorkers in general, he was the guy that fucking shut down the undefeated Patriots, one of the greatest offensive football teams I've ever had the pleasure of watching with my own 2 eyes. And he did it a way that a lot of people thought would be counterproductive to beating the Patriots. Nobody blitzed Tom Brady that year because then you got Randy Moss. You got somebody one-on-one with Randy Moss at that point. And then, like I said, he leaves after that. I think after that year he left, went on, head coach as the Rams for a little bit. That didn't work out. Right back to what he knows. Right back to what he knows as a good defensive coordinator. So I think that's something that got swept under the rug here. With the excitement of the Travis Kelce and the Taylor Swift and the Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
What do you have to say, Jack?
I'll raise you here. Is Reed nipping at the bud right now? Is he going to go for one of the best coaches of all time, or the greatest coach of all time? Because I'll break it down for you.
He's got to get 4 more.
Does he got to get 4 more, or does he got to win 4 and 6?
What?
Does he got to win 4 and 6, or does he got to win 4 more? Realistically, because right now this Chiefs team is an absolute dynasty. We obviously different sport, but here's the comparison. We call the Warriors a dynasty, right? They won 3 and 5, similar to.
Okay.
In football, it's almost unheard of. It's almost impossible to do. I think that shouldn't go as unnoticed as we have it right now, because the Travis Kelce, the Taylor Swift, the Patrick Mahomes, it's also polarizing, especially in the
Bill Belichick has 6. So in order to be the best, you
doesn't Andy have 5?
3.
He has 3 only with the Chiefs. He went with the Eagles.
No, all he did was lose with the Eagles.
Yeah.
He kept getting to the big game and losing. He got to a Super Bowl against the Patriots in 2005, and they lost. He got to multiple NFC Championship games with the Eagles that he lost. His whole deal was that he couldn't win the big game, and then he left the game for a year or 2. Then eventually the Chiefs hired him, and they started playing pretty solid with Alex Smith. They made the playoffs. Then they go and draft Patrick Mahomes, and then they made a divisional round that year. And then enter Patrick Mahomes in his second year, and the rest of it writes itself. 6 straight AFC Championship games, 4 Super Bowl appearances, and 3 wins. But yeah, if you want to be the best coach, and now look, people want to tie fucking Belichick to Brady, and the only reason Belichick was any good was because of Brady. Okay, well now Patrick Mahomes is Andy Reid's quarterback, and he really wasn't shit when he had very good quarterbacks, arguably borderline Hall of Famers in Donovan McNabb and Alex Smith, and he could have won. And he had probably, I mean, look, Tyreek Hill is obviously an outlier, and arguably one of the better receivers to play, but we're talking about Eagles teams that had Terrell Owens on them and Brent Selleck.
Riley Cooper.
Yeah. Oh, well, Riley Cooper was after
Deshaun
Oh, was he?
Jackson.
Yeah.
Deshaun Jackson, I believe young Deshaun Jackson still when Andy Reid was around. Brian Westbrook, who was a might as well have been a receiver out of the backfield playing fucking running back for them. They had Brian Dawkins and Takeo Spikes and all sorts of nonsense going on. So, yeah, I'm not buying the Brady.
They got an edge rusher in there, or am I still thinking Fletcher Cox?
Yeah, Fletcher Cox is not an edge rusher.
No, I'm saying down lineman on the defense.
I'm sure they did. We're going back fucking 15 years now. My point is, I will not accept the Brady argument to why Belichick was so great when Andy Reid is finding all of his success with the second coming of Tom Brady.
Right.
And an argument that we were having on Sunday with Mr. Alessino and the other old heads in the crowd.
Jesus.
He's the most talented player to ever play quarterback in the NFL. Most talented. And then, Brady. It feels like fucking LeBron and Jordan all over again. Yeah. Let me know when Braun has 6 rings. Let me know. I don't give a fuck about the rings when we're talking about talent. Tom Brady was never the most talented quarterback in any aspect of the game. He was never had the best size. He never had the strongest arm. He was never the most accurate. He was never fast. You know what he was? Super regimented, super competitive, and very smart. As far as physical attributes go, Tom Brady is not a top 10 quarterback. Right. So I will not have this argument when we're talking about talent and physical traits. Mahomes is the GOAT. Here Mahomes lies at 28 years old, and he's got 3. Excuse me. Now, I don't remember the exact age, but I think around the same age, 27, 28, something like that. Tom Brady had 3 already, right? Tom Brady had already had 3 Super Bowls by the time he was roughly the same age Mahomes was. You know how long it took him to win again?
It was a couple of years, I thought, right?
Between Tom Brady's 3rd Super Bowl win and his 4th Super Bowl win was a decade. Tom Brady did not win a Super Bowl for 10 years after his 3rd one. And then he comes back at the age of 37 years old and winds up winning another 4 at the back end of his career. So it's no guarantee that Mahomes is going to keep showing up and keep winning Super Bowls. But when you can compare the trajectory to Brady, and you can say, is it likely that he's not going to win a single Super Bowl for the next decade? No. It's not likely, in my opinion, that Mahomes doesn't win another 1 or 2 within the next 2 years. To me, seems unlikely and foolish to think that way. So, yes, I do believe that Patrick Mahomes is on the trajectory of chasing Tom Brady. But, yeah, for Andy Reid to pass Bill Belichick, he's got to win 4 more. You have to top Bill Belichick's Super Bowl rings in order to be considered the greatest coach of all time. We just got Anthony Alessino. Alessino, welcome to the show.
What's going on, boys?
I mean, we're just talking about the big game. We covered overtime. We covered how great the Chiefs' defense played. We talked about Steve Spagnuolo, the greatest defensive coordinator to ever live. This is a question I'm posing to you.
Probably. Based off of credentials, right? He's the second ever to win 4.
Won 4 with 2 different teams. Had to beat Brady at least once, if not twice, to do it.
Yeah.
I can't remember if they had to play Brady in the 2019 playoffs before they played the Niners the first time.
Is there a scapegoat in the defensive coordinator being fired from the 49ers? Did you guys discuss
100%, but we didn't even get to that part yet. So I'm glad that you brought that up. We were just talking legacy questions. Jack asked about Andy Reid. Is he on the path to be the greatest of all time?
Greatest of all time? No.
He's gotta win.
He's probably gonna run out of
He's
time.
gonna run out of time. He's got to win 4 more.
Yeah. And then, what's it matter? Top 5? Does it, is that, it's not that big of a deal. Still one of the greats. You know what I mean? It took him 20 years to win the first one, didn't it? So, yeah, he's one of the greats. Patrick Mahomes is obviously probably already number 2.
Yeah, I mean, that
Right.
seems fair.
Yeah, I mean, while we're talking about that, did we see the old John Elway tweet? I think it was Elway, right? No, Troy Aikman. The old Troy Aikman tweet that's been resurfaced this week.
Aikman, yeah.
What do
Yeah.
you say?
So somebody tweeted at Troy Aikman like a couple of years ago and said like Patrick Mahomes has thrown like at 33% of the total yards or total touchdowns that Troy Aikman did in his entire career in like a year or 2 or whatever it was. And Troy Aikman
in 4 seasons, Mahomes has thrown for 33% of Aikman's entire career.
Okay.
And then Troy Aikman
Yeah.
said, "Give me a call when he has 33% of my Super Bowls."
Oh.
And now they're tied. Or
He
he has more.
I'll confirm that. I think he has 75% of them. I think
How many is Troy?
Aikman has 3, right?
No.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I think they're
Yeah.
tied. Yeah, so that didn't age well over the course of the week, exiting the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's got 3.
He's got 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, that took 4 more years and he's got 3 more. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Age too well.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up Steve Wilkes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
49ers fire Steve Wilkes Monday morning, Tuesday.
I think it was Tuesday.
At some point
but-
this
Tuesday
week.
morning.
The 49ers fired Steve Wilkes. It felt like somebody needed to pay. And for some reason, Steve Wilkes, the person of color, black defensive coordinator for the team, which I know we like to pretend it doesn't matter, but make no mistake, I feel like it matters here, at least narrative-wise. I'm not saying there's a racist thing going on, but narrative-wise, it definitely matters. One, there's no fucking jobs available for him to try to go get now. He was never even involved in any sort of interviewing processes throughout the playoffs like other teams' coaches have been. And is it Steve Wilkes' problem that they muffed the fucking punt at the end of the game?
Right.
Is it Steve Wilkes' fault that Christian McCaffrey fumbled the ball in the red zone? Is it Steve Wilkes' fault that Kyle Shanahan elected to receive the ball in overtime instead of kick? Is it Steve Wilkes' fault that the extra point got blocked?
Yeah.
We could go on and on. Is it Steve Wilkes' fault that players that were highly involved all season on the offensive line, on the offensive side of the ball, like Brandon Ayuk, and I know Debo was banged up, George Kittle only had 2 catches for 4 yards, but we're finding a way to force the ball to Jawan Johnson and running double pass trick plays and trying to make Brock Purdy turn into a superhero?
Yeah,
Is that Steve
Juwan
Wilkes'
Johnson had a
fault?
really good game.
Jennings.
Juwan Jennings, sorry.
Jawan Jennings did have a really good game. Don't get me wrong.
No, he was killing it.
Yeah. So my whole thing is about that is I feel like all year their defense has been very good to great, the 49ers. And I feel like there's no it's a bad you see what he said, it just wasn't what's the word he used? Do you guys remember?
Who is this?
Who, Shanahan?
Yeah.
About firing Steve Wilkes?
Yeah.
I didn't see anything.
No, I didn't
on
see
that.
anything.
Shit, I'm gonna look it up because it was a weird way to say it.
I mean, it seems pretty transparent. It seems like
It feels a lot like Jed York said, someone's got to pay. I want
Yeah.
a head on a stick.
Yeah.
And this is the guy we offered up. I thought it was a weird move when you consider how dominant the defense was all year, right? They were the team, quote unquote, that gave us the blueprint on how to stop Jalen Hurts. They've got all. Oh, here's another. Did Steve Wilkes tear Dre Greenlaw's Achilles?
crazy.
We didn't even talk about Dre
Yeah,
Greenlaw
that
yet.
was terrible.
But is it Steve Wilkes' fucking problem that arguably his third best or second best defender just has a freak Achilles tear in the second quarter?
Terrible.
Awful.
Absolutely
awful. And man, do you
terrible,
feel
dude.
bad for Drake Greenlaw, because that's a kind of injury.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're gonna say that's the type of injury you don't really bounce back from.
Changes your career.
Yeah, it's fucked up. Did you see the mic'd up with Warner?
Sure
Dude,
did.
that shit is tough, man. It's fucked up because you kind of, throughout like the whole playoffs, they're interviewing obviously Warner and all of them a lot, but it did seem like Warner and Greenlaw were. Everyone's been complimenting on it. It's been like what you were saying, the Patrick Queen and Patrick Queen and the
Patrick
other guy.
Queen and Roquan Smith.
Roquan Smith. It's it's a Roquan Smith, blah blah blah. They tandem off each other. So I think seeing the clip of Warner yelling, like you could hear, man was upset. It's just Drake Greenlaw. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and then Kittle was upset on the sideline. They were all beat up over it when it happened.
Yeah.
Hard to say a crazy.
Okay,
shit.
I got it. So sorry, guys. I finally found it. Kyle Shanahan says Steve Wilkes was a fit, but ended up not being the right fit.
How do you figure though?
I just feel like that's a Bush League thing to say.
Yeah.
And they're gonna hire Brennan Staley.
That's just like we're gonna keep this real.
Hold
Really? Wait, what?
the fucking
Brendan Staley.
phone, bro.
Really?
Brendan Staley is set. League sources, multiple league sources believe Stanley will be hired as the next defensive coordinator.
That is insane, actually.
So, not only has Steve Wilkes been shafted twice in 3 seasons now because he got one fucking one-and-done opportunity as a head coach with the Cardinals, then they fire him immediately with no time to establish any sort of culture or anything. And then he comes to San Francisco, keeps the defense as they were, if not improves the defense, maintains a top 3 NFL defense over the course of however many years. Impressive enough. Then we're going to fucking fire him when he's probably the last person you could point the finger to for why we lost this Super Bowl game. And now we're going to hire a guy who was just chased out of the building in LA for the last 2 seasons for not being good at what he coaches. The defense in LA with the Chargers has been dog shit, despite having top-tier talent at every level of the defense. We got Joey Bosa as a top 10 edge rusher. We got Khalil Mack, who is an all-time edge rusher. Derwin James is a top safety in the league. Gave all this money to J.C. Jackson and then traded him less than a half a year into his tenure. They got Drew Tranquill. They have Drew Tranquill's not there anymore.
Chiefs.
He's with the Chiefs now.
Yeah.
They Kenneth Walker is who I was thinking of, which is weird. One white, one black, but whatever. They have Pro Bowl talent at every level of the defense over the course of his 3-year run with the Chargers, and the defense could never hold up, no matter how many points Herbert and the offense scored. And now that's the guy that we're going to replace him with? Don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, it does seem. I think this is very scapegoatish. And the answer he gave, just going off what you were saying, it's just a broad way to say, yeah, we're just getting rid of him to save face, essentially.
Yeah.
Because saying someone.
So what I don't understand was he held Patrick Mahomes to 20 points
Right.
through 4 quarters. Right? That was what it was?
Yeah.
Or was it? No, it was 18 points, right? 18.
19.
No, 19 through 4 quarters, right?
Yeah.
With that offense, it's got to be enough to win the game.
I agree.
And then we talked about it already before you showed up, but twice late in the game and then in overtime, we have a 3rd and short situation where you can effectively win the game. The second time in overtime you wouldn't have won the game, but
the first time you would have won.
You would have won the game right there. You get out fucking played by Spags, and they fucking throw. It's a lame duck play by Kyle Shanahan, and then 3rd and short again in overtime. Same situation. Both times McDuffie comes screaming off of the edge. Almost the exact. No one blocks Chris Jones, who is a top 3 defensive tackle in the NFL.
Yeah, it's weird too.
And not to mention, while we're doing it, Kyle Shanahan is the worst postseason coach in recent memory. All this guy does with his amazing West Coast offense and his great tree of coaches that have came off of him, fucking Falcons offensive coordinator, 28-3. We know how that one ended. They're up on the Chiefs in 2020. What was it, 20-10? We know how that one ended, 31-20. His offense disappears in the biggest moments of the biggest games throughout his career as a play caller. Why don't you look inside?
I don't want to veer too far away, but I want to ask a question I thought about today. I said, I wonder what we're going to talk about. Specifically questions about the Super Bowl. And how much money do you think Brock Purdy lost in the Super Bowl?
Like by being
We can
there?
just you don't have to go quantitative. We could just go
I don't know.
none, a little, a
You're
lot.
talking about future earnings or like by
Yeah.
being there?
No, future earnings.
I don't think
He lost none. He lost a little. He lost a lot.
None.
I'd say a little in comparison to the contracts he will receive.
I'll say none.
I'm gonna go a little. I feel a
No,
little.
I'm
I
gonna
feel
say
like
none.
I don't know. Just one of those things where he had the opportunity to be the guy to beat Mahomes, and it slipped away.
Yeah,
I know
but
it's-
that's the nature of the beast, though.
But also with the same argument, you can't say Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT and then say Purdy's losing money because he wasn't the guy to beat Patrick Mahomes on his third year.
But I feel like it was there. It wasn't like Purdy had to go above and beyond to beat him. He just had to finish the job. It was there for him to finish. You know what I mean? You can't say, oh, it was McCaffrey's fumble because Pacheco fumbled in the red zone.
What it really was the muffed punt. That's what really shifted.
100%.
the
That
whole
turned everything
entire
around.
game. Yeah.
And the Chiefs said the 2 weeks leading up to it, the Chiefs said our special teams is marginally better than theirs. And they kept talking that talk that our special teams is going to make a play to win us the game. Well, it made 2.
Yeah.
The muff punt and the missed extra point literally won them the game. There's no way around it. That's what, you give Patrick Mahomes a chance, he's going to make you pay. I got news for you. If he won with this team, he's going to win with another team.
Yeah.
He's going to win. If they get better and they spend a little money at wide receiver this year, because I see one wide receiver on that roster that is playable next year.
Rashee Rice.
That's it. And I think Rashee Rice is the number one.
He's coming.
Don't get me
through
wrong.
zone.
I don't think.
Yeah.
But imagine they add Ayuk. Imagine Ayuk joins the dark side.
Yeah. Or T. Higgins.
T. Higgins on this team.
Apparently, they're planning on tagging T. Higgins.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I've seen reports of it. I'm not going to go too in depth
The
on
2024 NFL draft wide receiver class is being touted by guys like Todd McShay and Mel Kiper as the best in the last 5 to 7 years. So I believe they will.
That's exciting.
They will improve their
We'll
wide
take a
receiving
shot.
core without spending any money in free agency.
Because Richie James, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, and Justin Ross have rings. Justin Watson was the number 2 on that team.
Kadarius Toney has 2 rings.
Isaiah Pacheco becomes the first running back ever to have 2 rings in his first 2 years.
Pretty sick.
Really?
Shout out New Jersey. Yeah,
Shout out Rutgers, dude.
Also, Pacheco's lead.
yeah, I like Pacheco.
Absolutely.
I mean,
He
felt
runs
like there
like a
were a
pit
couple.
bull, dude.
Felt like there were a couple of runs there in that game I wasn't loving so much, but we talked about it already.
Yeah, he wasn't really. Yeah, it was weird. He wasn't really running as hard as he normally does.
It was about maintaining the balance. I want to counterpoint you, though. I'm going to zag when you zig on Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
I don't think he lost any money. I think, if anything, he earned more potential future earnings. I think Brock Purdy played his fucking balls off in that game, and he made a lot of throws that's a guy. That's not a game manager. That's not a bottom 12 quarterback. He made a lot of top 12 quarterback throws in that game. The one throw where he gets pushed out to his left, reverses field, fucking scrambles upfield to the right, and makes that throw on the run up the sideline on third down. Crazy throw. He was making crazy big dick throws throughout most of the game and did a lot of it without the help of Kittle and Devo and Ayuk, like we all said. Now, if you want to say maybe the plays weren't called for them, okay, fine. But I think Brock Purdy, made a lot of very good big dick quarterback throws to
I'm okay with all that.
lesser talent on the team. And I don't think the loss comes down to him. I think it's a lot of game managing decisions by Kyle Shanahan. And whoever the special teams coordinator is for that team, that's who should have been fired. And I don't really want to dive too deep into the racism rabbit hole here, but is he white? Because if the special teams coordinator is white and Steve Wilkes got fired and he didn't, now I think we have a fucking problem that needs to be at least discussed.
That would have been a good scapegoat. You know what I mean?
They lost the game.
It would have made the most sense.
You got it. How in the world every football program in America from 8th grade up has a poison call? Or,
dude,
Tony Romo was calling
I was fucking saying poison at the Super Bowl. I'm like, everyone's got to be fucking yelling poison right now.
Yeah.
Whether it's
Fucking
poison
crazy.
or Romo was saying Peter on the broadcast,
Poison, baby.
whatever the call is, it means get the fuck away from the football.
Yeah.
So here's what I saw. Here's what I And this
So
is the thing.
fucking
This is
funny,
what
dude.
freaked
I
me
was
out
doing
about
the
Brock
same
Purdy.
thing.
Because they were like, all right, so I read two things, and one was from a former quarterback, a Hall of Fame quarterback. I can't remember who it was, but it was a Hall of Fame quarterback. It could have been Dan Marino. I don't know, but I'll see if I can find it. But he said, great quarterbacks go down and score field goals in overtime of the Super Bowl. Legendary quarterbacks go down and score touchdowns after the game. Right? So he didn't call Purdy a bad quarterback. He said great quarterbacks can go down and score, but legendary quarterbacks go down and finish the job, right? That's what he said. And then the second one was teams need to take a hard look. And this wasn't a former player, this was an analyst, but I don't know which one, so I'm not going to cite it. But they said teams need to take a very hard look at your rosters and who you have. And if you don't have a Mahomes, or someone who can beat Mahomes, which is very few, you really have to look at your roster for the long-term outlook and say, are we built to do this in the next 5 years? Because the Giants, for instance, they used the Giants, for instance, and said, it doesn't really matter. If Daniel Jones was in that game, he doesn't have a chance. So, you know what I mean? He's not anywhere near Mahomes' level. So unless you go in to get a quarterback that's a Mahomes level or damn sure near it, you're not going to compete for a Super Bowl in the near future. I'm sorry, that's just how it is.
I get the sentiment, but I don't completely buy it. I mean, not to pick on the boys here, and we just gave plenty of flowers, but Eli Manning, we're talking about, is he a Hall of Famer? And if it wasn't for the second ring, it's a real conversation. Is he a Hall of Famer? He's career 115-1. I could be mixing that up, but he's a career 500 quarterback. He's another one who he showed out and showed up on the seasons where they were talking about getting him out of town. He was up and down. He wasn't super talented, but he went in and beat the greatest to ever do it twice. One of the teams, like I already said before you got here, that the 06-07 Patriots were arguably one of the greatest offenses I've ever seen with my own two eyes. Nobody could stop them. They were putting up, I watched The Greatest Show on Turf. You guys probably didn't, but I was young but cognizant watching that Rams team too. So
yeah.
One of the greatest offenses of all time. Tom Brady's the GOAT, and Eli found a way to get it done twice. And I know so far the only team we've seen beat Mahomes in a Super Bowl is Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady is still the only quarterback to hand Mahomes a postseason loss in general.
No.
Being in the playoffs.
Burrow.
Yeah, Burrow.
You're right, Burrow as well. Sorry.
Stafford.
No, Stafford didn't beat him in the postseason. They played the fucking
they played
Bengals.
the Bengals, that's right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I get the sentiment. I do. You need to have an elite level quarterback, but I'm not buying into the fact that you can't beat these guys without an average to a slightly above average guy behind center. I'm not buying that.
Not that we're going to get into those now because this is just Super Bowl recap, but I can only name 5 or 6 quarterbacks right now that I can go and say, yep, they'll go toe-to-toe with Mahomes if need be.
Who?
So, how do you want me to do this? Because I just want to make clear. Is it AFC, NFC, or just you were like, are we talking Super Bowl, actually? Or are we just talking in general?
Let's go AFC first.
NFC first?
AFC.
AFC first. That has like 90% of all the players. 90% of all the guys that think can go toe-to-toe with them. So we got... Hold on. Let me just pull up the... Okay.
I'll give you mine.
This is just me. Ready? This is just me. AFC East. Rodgers. That's it.
You don't think Allen could go toe-to-toe with Mahomes?
He's proven
Who?
he can.
Josh Allen?
No.
Me and him are on the same page with this. It's the turnovers.
It's the turnovers.
It's the turnovers. Were you guys both missing a couple of weeks ago on the episode where I went over Josh Allen's postseason numbers? He has thrown in the postseason of his career 24 touchdowns against 3 interceptions. He's thrown around 64% completion percentage in that time. It is not Josh Allen in the turnovers. It is players not making plays. But continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to get wound up.
Okay,
Three interceptions in the postseason.
All right, I agree with you. Stats don't lie. But the fact that me and Jack both are saying that it's the turnover issue means that there's trust issues there and means that that's his brand. That's what he's being built around now for the turnovers. So I'm not going to trust him against Mahomes. That defense of the Chiefs would have ripped him apart. They would have picked him off twice. They would have. Sorry, I only go Rodgers. In the AFC North, I go Joe Burrow and I go Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
In the AFC South, I'm going to go nobody now, but Stroud is right there.
Yeah,
but I'm going to go nobody because Trevor Lawrence took a step back.
Yeah.
And we're going to call him, man. We're going to say Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. I don't trust those guys yet. And in the AFC West, I'm going to go, here we go, nobody.
Herbert.
No.
I do believe Herbert can.
Well, he's got to fucking
He'll
prove it.
never get the opportunity.
I think this year will be much different than last year. I think. I think Herbert might turn the corner this year. To be honest with you.
He definitely might. But 5-12 this year and 3-9 against the conference, it's just not enough.
Yeah, but
it's not.
Listen, we've talked
I'm not
going to
compare you to the goat. I'm not going to do it, or the baby goat, the second goat.
Right.
I'm not going to do it.
You said 5-12. I don't know exactly when he went out for the year, so that record isn't completely fair. And here's the only argument that I'm going to make for Justin Herbert, and it's got little to do with Patrick Mahomes at this instance, but
Coaching.
No. It's got nothing to do with coaching. 2 teams in the NFL this year with high-profile quarterbacks lost their guy. Okay, the Chargers is obviously one of them with Justin Herbert, and the other team, what other high-profile quarterback went down mid-season in the AFC? You've said his name already.
Burrow.
Joe Burrow. What happened when Justin Herbert went down? They were the laughing stock of the NFL. They could barely score points. They were talking 12, 13, 14-point spreads. They got their dicks kicked in. When Joe Burrow went down, they were still competing for a playoff spot in the last week of the year.
That's true.
Yeah.
So this is a bit of a slight against Burrow and an up for Herbert in that aspect.
So I know you can turn around and tell me now about the Eli Manning. You can go back to the Eli Manning thing, which that's okay. You could do that. But Herbert is 30-32 in his career. And like I said, we're not comparing, hey, can he eventually beat Mahomes? I'm saying, hey, right now, next season, 2024, who am I trusting to beat Mahomes? That's why my list is so thin, right? So I'm not saying you're not wrong, but right now I have 3 in the AFC. And I don't trust Russell Wilson. Who even knows where he'll be? Nobody on the Raiders. That's it. And you go to NFC. There's nobody in the NFC East. Not one.
Okay.
Certainly not Daniel Jones. Not Dak Prescott. And it's not Jalen Hurts.
Or Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams, it's also not him. Yeah. NFC North, I love the Lions. I love everything they've built. I love everything they're doing. We're talking quarterback matchup. I would say he's right below C.J. Stroud, probably at like 7, 8-ish, right around there. Jordan Love's probably 10, 11-ish. But there's nobody from the NFC North. NFC South, there's nobody from the NFC South. Nobody. And then the NFC West, I mean, if you want to put Purdy in there for fun, that's 4 guys.
What about Stafford?
Yeah, what about Stafford?
I'm talking about the next season coming up.
Yeah.
I don't think Stafford can go one-on-one with Mahomes. I don't.
I think you're wrong about that.
All right, so let's just say let's agree to disagree and put him in there. That's 4.
Yeah, okay, I get it. I think there's other teams, regardless of whether or not the quarterback can match with Mahomes. If they're playing 7-on-7, maybe they don't stand out. But this is a team. This is the ultimate team game.
No, I get
53
it, but
guys
it just seems to me like
direction. Also, you got to play.
That guy wills championships out of.
You got to play. You got to play against injuries. You have to play against the schedule. You have to play against everything besides the guy in front of your face. I'm glad you brought up the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff.
Before you move on to the Detroit Lions, I just want to make this point here because I haven't.
You've been real quiet.
I've been real quiet because I think we're talking about things that don't fucking matter anymore, or not right now at least. Dude, the Super Bowl
I don't
was
know why
last
we're
Sunday.
mad, but
Super
go
Bowl was
ahead.
last Sunday. We sound like talk radio right now. Can this guy do it? Can he not?
That's kind of what we're doing here.
I understand that's what we're doing here,
Kind of the whole
but
thing.
realistically,
Jack's got basketball takes to fire off. He's waiting for the basketball.
yeah,
segment of
dude.
the show.
I'm not worried about football right now. I mean, Madden's cool, you know. I don't got much, dude.
That's cool.
The Chiefs just went 3 for 5. What do you want me to tell you? Like the Warriors, dude. What am I going to say? Oh, no, they can't do it again? What am I going to say? It's inevitable. Why am I going to fight it?
So what's your point before I get into the line?
My home team's healing right now, okay? Nature's healing.
The Jets?
Yes. Nature's healing in general. Bobby Shmurda's out of prison. Kanye's coming back. Kanye's
New
fucking
Kanye
with the-
album
yeah.
and Bobby Shmurda's out of prison, dude. Bobby Shmurda's got to
Yo,
get on the
did you
presidential ballot.
1 minute snippet right here.
I
Ready?
vote for Bobby.
They took Kanye's album off of the top 100. It was number 1. They blackballed Ty Dolla $ign and Kanye.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Topic for another time. Topic for another day. Discuss amongst your friends. But that's just that's heresy, dude. Heresy,
Is it because of the lawsuit?
probably.
The Detroit Lions, I'm going to make a bold statement here. Bold claim. Dan Campbell's complete debacle and mismanagement of the second half, but really the fourth quarter of the NFC Championship game, in my humble opinion, cost the Lions and the city of Detroit their first Super Bowl win in I don't know how long, 50, 60, 70 years, however long it's been. If
Isn't
they,
it their
I don't
first?
think they've ever won. So
No, they never won.
Dan Campbell's debacle in the fourth quarter of the NFC Championship game against the San Francisco 49ers cost the city of Detroit its first ever taste of a Super Bowl victory. And I say this because the Detroit Lions were the hottest team of the playoffs. For the entire playoffs, the Detroit Lions were the best team in the playoffs. The Ravens were the best team in the regular season. The Ravens were probably the hardest team for anybody to have to take down in the playoffs. Had the Lions made it to the Super Bowl game, what had the Lions done all playoffs long? In the 3 games they played leading up to it, they come out hot, they show up ready to play, they don't need to figure out where they are and what they're doing, and they went up big. And in both games, they wound up ultimately letting the teams back into it, kind of in a way, and that's a problem for them. But, bless you, neither of these games, the Niners or the Chiefs, came out with their hair on fire. They came out making mistakes. They came out playing a little timid. I do believe the Lions had a fair shot of beating the Kansas City Chiefs in this game, had they been there.
Okay. I don't disagree.
I think they would have found a way to put more pressure on Mahomes than the Niners did, which is crazy to say. Aiden Hutchinson has been playing his absolute anus off the entire playoffs. He almost matched his regular season sack total in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, Chase Young was electric during the Super Bowl.
Chase Young was electric, and he probably made himself a ton of money because he's
But
not
I'm
going to be a
saying
Niner next.
The pressure on Mahomes was not the issue.
Right.
There was pressure on Mahomes.
No, I think that's what Hawk was saying. They were pressuring Mahomes almost on every single play.
Yeah, I don't even know what the issue was. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I really don't know what the issue was. There was no defensive issue at all. If they just kept giving it to McCaffrey like they did at the start of overtime, if they just did that all game and just rode him like a horse, they would have won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, maybe the fumble made them a little concerned coming off the first drive.
Dude, I would have given him 40 carries when I saw how this thing was going. I would have been like, all right, it's you and only you now, buddy.
We said this already.
Thanks.
We said this already at the top of the show before you got here, so I'm just going to reiterate it for you. The Chiefs shut Christian McCaffrey off in that football game.
I guess, but
3.6
Uh-huh.
yards per carry.
what?
3.6 yards per carry.
Yeah, but he had 170 all-purpose
He
yards.
had 160 all-purpose yards, but his yards per carry was fucking almost 2 whole yards less than he averaged for the year.
Yeah,
They
no,
were
I get it.
shutting
Again,
him
I'm just
down in the interior run game.
Is
Sure, he had a high all-purpose yardage total. He had a couple of big plays too. On average, they were able to contain him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. Again, it's a real weird thing. It was a real weird game. I thought it was a great game.
I thought it was
It
good
definitely
too.
was a very good game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going to overtime was great.
As far as Super Bowls go, 100% entertaining.
I think that
Yeah.
that's as good as it gets, I think.
Uh-huh.
The Bengals Rams is pretty good. Bengals Rams is a good one.
Bengals
Yeah,
Rams
Bengals Rams is a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
But you just don't want to fucking snoozer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what I was afraid of by the time we got to halftime. I was like, ooh, this might be how this is going to go.
Do you love punts?
Yeah. Do you love fucking hard, gritty football?
You see, that's when we needed the punt lines.
Do you love special teams? So we on this end feel pretty wrapped on
I was
Super
about to say, yeah, that's...
All right, so Alice, we opened the show discussing the new overtime rules. You got about 7 minutes before Zoom's going to kick you off. I will bring you back and we're going to talk about basketball, but I want you to say anything and everything you might feel the need to get off your chest about the new overtime rules and how it all played out in front of us in the Super Bowl.
Okay. I mean, I don't need 7 minutes for it, but I love the overtime rule. The only thing that it just didn't feel like was clear enough to me, and Jimmy heard me. I was just screaming at the TV, but I didn't know it was played like, hey, we'll just go to the second quarter on overtime.
Right.
And I was so confused why the Chiefs were letting the clock run down. And Jimmy's like, nah, they know what they're doing. And I'm like, no, dude. And then it got to like 20 seconds, and I look at Jimmy, and he's like, yeah, I don't fucking know what's going on. He's like, I don't know why they're letting it get so low. And I'm like, calm down. I'm like, what is going on here? So I wish that we just knew a little bit more
Right.
about how the second overtime just continues the game. And I think that this shouldn't just be an overtime rule. A playoff rule. I think it should be the rule. I think this is how overtime should be played in the NFL. And I think that I understand the risk mitigation for injuries and stuff like that. So I'm okay with doing some sort of rule that says you score a touchdown, you got to go for 2. Lower the odds of it eventually getting to the third possession if both teams score a touchdown and hit 2-point conversions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Or
So-
the argument would be they both miss as well.
Yes. Oh, it's entirely possible. Yes, but you know what I'm saying. So it's like, but I think that's the way to do it. I do. I really do. And I loved it. So yeah, no, it's hard because you want to like what do people want, right? Like, so what's the best case scenario? I think it played out as best case as it physically could. You know what I'm saying? You get a chance. If they go down and score, you get the game ain't over. This all stems back from the Josh Allen game.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason why
Yeah.
this thing changed, because Josh Allen versus Mahomes. Right?
Josh and his
Yeah.
tiny arm.
Right. When he couldn't get on the field. And we just had to watch him be sad. And the NFL was like, no, we don't want people to be sad anymore. So let's change it. No more sadness.
Do you feel like the clock should matter, though? Because I was annoyed with the fact that the clock didn't matter for the Chiefs.
Why have a clock?
Right. Just take it off the grid, honestly.
Like, what are we talking about?
That's
Like,
what I
just
said.
eliminate the clock. I don't understand. What are we doing here? But, I mean, like, what's supposed to happen? We're just supposed to play, like, so, like, this is what I want to know. If it hit halftime of overtime, do they switch? Like, does the other team get possession?
No, it
No,
would have
just
been
keeps
like
going.
it would have been like first quarter, second quarter.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
And then third quarter?
Who knows?
No, I'm saying if it got into after the second quarter ended and they were still tied.
We have no idea. We don't know.
Because because the way they presented it was a new game will start.
Yeah, I don't know.
They didn't really do a very great job. Of
No,
kinda
not really. No, not
explaining
really
that.
at all.
I mean, it's the players should know. I know that's been a thing that's going around. But as far as like from the viewer standpoint, even us who have been watching football, I still was a little like, okay, so
Now what?
yeah, like all right.
What happens now?
I guess I'll wait till it's over.
Here's my only thought behind my only thought process goes the way that it goes in overtime, right? And this is all overtime across the board. If the team that gets the opening kickoff of overtime, the first overtime, maintains the ball for the entirety of the clock, they win the game, right?
Yeah.
So my only thought is if it goes to the second overtime and it's tied still, maybe the team who maintains possession of the ball wins the game. But who knows? I don't know. It's a good question. I'll email the committee.
Yeah, right? What the fuck?
All right.
So,
Yeah, let's get him back for basketball.
the one last thing is, you guys saw that, like, he scored, and he really didn't react, Nicole Hardman.
He didn't,
I don't
yeah,
think he was,
he didn't know they won.
I don't think he was 100% sure that they won.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was. Besides
But it was like a real, hey, dude, you just won the fucking Super Bowl. Somebody react.
yeah,
Somebody
someone
do
be happy.
something. But yeah, that's it. So yeah, you're gonna lose me.
Yeah, we're gonna bring you back.
Totally.
All right, you got it.
Do we want to let Jack start us off with basketball? Is there any-
I'm gonna start with something and then turn it over to him.
Real quick, I do got something though I do want to chat about. First things first, the Super Bowl, I believe we were getting the ads for it. Shout out to Bet365 on some safe gambling features. I don't know if you guys noticed in the
No.
commercial here.
No.
They have multiple features regarding like placing a limit on when you can log into your account, how much you
Really?
can spend.
Damn.
Really making a safe space for gambling. And you know what? Just want to give them a quick shout out. Bet365.
Very inclusive.
Getting the very inclusive, exactly. So if you're a little off the chain with gambling, you're not too sure. Obviously, we're a gambling show. I don't know why you'd be watching otherwise. But if you do feel like you may be having an issue, you can always call. What's the number? Is it 1-800
Hope NY.
Hope NY?
188 Hope NY.
188 Hope NY, baby.
3
Yeah.
Give it
Too
some
many
hope.
hits to say.
But also, if you do want to give it a gander and you want to put the limits on, you want to pump the brakes a little bit, try out Bet365. Just a quick little shout out to them.
So, the Super Bowl is over. The NFL season is over once again. We have no more football to watch. We have no more football to gamble on. At least
USFL, baby.
it's the UFL now.
UFL.
Oh, really?
The
I thought it was
USFL and the XFL merged, and they will now be the UFL next year. So, I mean, UFL will be starting up if you want to do that. But fear not, because we
If you want to be a full-on degen, go ahead. You can do that.
Yeah, really.
fear not, because we do still have 4.5 months before we get to the dark days of the summer, where we can wager on the National Basketball Association. And so we will, pretty much commit to speaking basketball going forward for a little bit, as long as NFL offseason stuff. We're going to get into the NBA right now. Tonight, Thursday night, is the last night of games before we head into the All-Star break, so it's not a bad time to pick up full-time basketball talk. And before, I know Jack had some basketball things he wanted to say. I'm going to turn it over to him, but before I turn it over to him, Alessino, I want to see your face for this.
I'm
I'm
moving
going-
rooms. So
I'm
get my
going
charger. Go ahead.
I'm going to introduce what could potentially be a new full-time segment on Parlay-Vous here, breaking news. I think we might have a new segment. Maybe it's not an of the week, maybe it's an of the month, but right now I'm going to award the first ever Parlay-Vous White Person Move of the Month. We have the White Person Move of the Month coming to you from the Miami Heat's Duncan Robinson, who is just a straight up white person basketball player's dream. I'm going to shoot the ball a lot. I'm going to shoot threes at a high clip. Maybe I'll try on defense a little bit, but I'm here to shoot the ball. So the reason Duncan is getting the first ever White Person Move of the Month here is because earlier this week against the Boston Celtics, he gave Jaylen Brown a bit of the business, a bit of the verbal business. Did anyone see this?
No.
Please
No.
share.
So Duncan Robinson and Jaylen Brown are, arms interlocked, fighting for a ball. The ball winds up going out of bounds. Whistle's blown. Jaylen Brown throws Duncan to the ground.
Damn.
So Duncan gets up, gets right in his face, and goes, "Don't do that shit. Don't fucking do that shit."
Oh.
They go, they break, timeout or whatever's called on the floor. They come back out after he goes back up to him, and Jaylen Brown was like, he's like, "Oh, that's the wrong call. Like, that's the wrong call." He said, "Get the fuck out of my face," to Duncan Robinson. And Duncan gets chest to chest with him and says, "You're not that guy."
Oh, no.
He goes, "You're not him, bro. Don't do that
Holy
shit."
shit.
That's a tough one, dude. See, if I'm
Yeah,
Jaylen, if I'm
Getting
Jaylen
right in
Brown,
the face of a top 25 player and saying, "You're not him, bro." So shout out Duncan for there's a couple of pro athletes that keep white hope alive. Duncan Robinson's one of them. Christian McCaffrey is obviously the great white hope. And I think now our very own Dante DiVincenzo is entering the conversation as white greatness.
So, did anybody see Isaiah Stewart yesterday?
He did
I
get arrested.
heard about
What'd
it,
he
but I didn't
do,
see
dude?
it.
He
What this
punched
fucking-
Drew Eubanks in the
Yeah,
face.
punched him in the
What a
face.
fucking
Pre-game,
clown.
dog.
Yeah,
In the tunnel.
Pre-game in the tunnel. Yeah, I heard about it, but I didn't see it. I'm assuming there's no
He
video
got
of it.
booked.
We gotta get Kate
Yeah,
out
the
of there,
cops
dude.
got involved. It was a whole fucking thing.
He got booked. He got DNP going to. You went to the court, the jail. They went to jail for the night.
Yeah, he was released on no bond, but yeah, he still
Yeah,
was
but you
booked for
can't
assault.
because it's weird because you can't assault people. It's so weird how that works.
You cannot.
But Isaiah Stewart showing he was always that guy. So
Coming,
that's cool.
coming
I like
right
that.
off of the tails of Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart saying on the roommates pod that most guys in the NBA aren't really about it. Nobody actually wants to fight.
No, dude, Isaiah Stewart stands on business.
You're pro athletes. You make millions of dollars. We're really gonna throw fists. We get paid millions of dollars to put a ball in a hoop. We're really gonna throw fists because what? There's no reason. There's no reason.
You don't like the set that he's repping?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You think a screen was hard? Oh, all right. You'll get over it. You'll get over it.
From what I
Go ahead,
understand,
Jack. Give us
Jack
something.
has some points.
So my first point, the big transition right here. People, with the polarizing news the polarizing NFL season we just had, people coming out saying more so than ever, obviously more jokingly than seriousness of the NFL is rigged, the NFL is scripted. In your heart of hearts, you can't tell me that the NFL didn't pray and do as much as they were allowed to do to get Taylor Swift to the Super Bowl, as well as Ice Spice and
All right.
other figures.
Are we going back to football right now?
No. I am here to make the argument that the NBA, in regards to the NFL, is, if not more rigged, more at stake in the officials' hands.
Thank God you turned it around. All right.
All right, dude, chill out
Damn,
over there.
this is a
Fucking
thing.
No, it was very
roll
football-esque.
credits on that attitude real quick. So I'm about to spin the block on you. Ready for this?
Oh my God.
All right. We need to roll credits on that, dude. You need to chill out over there with all this fucking nonsense over here, throwing up crit
What
in
did
the
he do?
fucking studio.
You said you were going to spin the block, so I just
Yeah,
threw a
we
fucking-
Nah,
Throwing
we
up the
spin the
deuces.
boulevard up in here. I should
Okay.
correct myself. I'll
All
retract that one. Anyway, so we have the ongoing protest with the Knicks in the Indiana Pacers game. That in itself is its own.
Not the Pacers game.
No, buddy.
No, not the Pacers Rockets. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yo, what are you doing over there? You trying to get me riled up
You just want me to roll the credits on me, on myself.
on saying some ridiculous stuff over there? You're being. It's okay. It's okay. So I was excited for this. I watched the Knicks games last night, as well as I believe you did. You did as well.
I didn't watch a
You
second.
didn't second of Knicks?
No.
Mr. Alcino, did you watch the Knicks game last night?
Yeah.
So, would it be fair to say that the officials were letting the Knicks get away with certain things? They weren't calling balls in favor of, who the hell?
Letting
did
the
they
Knicks
play
get
with?
away with certain things, or letting the Magic get away with certain things?
They were letting the Knicks get away with certain things, like they weren't calling certain touch fouls. They were giving the Knicks a break in regards.
And
of,
why you say that?
The way they were playing the game, they weren't calling fouls that they called in the Miami Heat, not Miami
No,
Heat.
oh yeah.
Houston
No,
Rockets
so
game.
let's say you're right. Finish the statement though. So go ahead. So let's say you're right.
The statement and it's the point I want to get to here is that the stake of the game and the sanctity of the game in the NBA is completely and entirely in the hands of the officials, and almost, I would say, 30% of it has to do with the players. It is 70-30 officials' favor. Because in the NFL, what do? They review almost every play. How many times do you look at an NBA game where there's probably at least 5 to 8 possessions a game that are entirely reviewable and are in the hands of the coach to challenge? However, it could be a controversial call and change the course of the entire game. Whether it's momentum, whether it's a foul call, whether it's a shooting foul, whether the plays only get reviewed for flagrant fouls, I'm pretty sure, correct? Besides the coach's challenge.
Yeah.
The way officials officiate games, and you can see it when you watch it, and it's not me being a homer either, I just notice it with the Knicks. The way officials call certain games, and when you look at lines and the way lines move, and we've already had a problem with this in the past with how refs were fixing certain games, it looks very, very weird, especially this year in the NBA. I got to pull up the statistic on it. But multiple games, I think at least 20 plus, have missed or covered in the opposite favor of a team that was big money, that would have been big money cash out, beating the Bucks. Stuff like that. So we're in the All-Star break right now, but I just wanted to bring the point to front and center.
There's still games tonight.
There's still games tonight. And you can even notice it tonight. I don't know if you'll be listening to the pod while you're watching the NBA, but we'll see. Either way,
so Jack, there's a difference. Here, this is all I'm going to say. There was a guy who was arrested, right? Obviously, you know. Right? Or were you... This is a serious question. Were you too young?
Probably was. I think I've heard the story about this guy who's doing Bulls games.
Donahue?
Yes, Donahue. Or Donahue.
Did serious jail time for rigging games. So, yeah, I think it's the easiest sport to rig because baseball is completely reviewable and very... I mean, anyone with eyes can see when the ball hits the ground or when it goes in the guy's mitt. For 98% of the plays, the other 2% are reviewable. Yes, you're right. The NFL is reviewable, and hockey is pretty reviewable. I mean, yeah, you could call ticky-tack fouls in hockey. You just usually don't see it. So, yeah, it is the most prone to being, I don't want to say rigged, but affected by a referee, right? So I get that.
But
what you said, your point was, in the very beginning, was that the NFL, you were comparing it to the NFL being scripted. I don't think the NBA is scripted.
I wouldn't say that
think
either.
It may be,
I
don't want to say collusion, but they're not colluding with Vegas. I feel like, if anything, the ref is just I don't say, it's weird to say have his own agenda, but I think that
I would say you're on the right track. I would agree.
LeBron doesn't get the foul calls. And what I mean by foul calls is they're not going to call LeBron for a reach-in. He's not getting called for a reach-in. So if he's going up against the guy who's a no-name bench player, and yeah, he's a little more aggressive and he's a little handsy, they're not going to call a reach-in on LeBron James. It's just not going to happen.
They're not going to call it on some nights. They'll call it on other nights.
Most of the time, no. I'm not saying LeBron versus Lillard or Giannis. I'm saying LeBron versus
Matthew Dellavedova.
He's not even.
He's not. They're not calling that. They're
I know he's not in the
time. They're not calling that. Right?
Obviously.
Same thing with Brunson. If that play against the Rockets that's under review that you were speaking about, if Steph Curry jumped instead of Brunson, if it was the Golden State Warriors instead of Brunson, they're in overtime. If it was Lillard, they're in overtime. If it was, let's see, I'll go Tyrese Halliburton. We're in overtime. But for some reason, the league hasn't picked up on the fact that Jalen Brunson's a superstar and he's not getting superstar treatment. And in this case, it's don't call a no call. Like, don't make a no call. Don't make that call. I'm not even asking for a lot. I'm not even asking for a ticky-tack foul to end the game. I'm asking you to just let the guys play ball.
Well, let's talk about the Knicks-Rockets game the other night, which is obviously the game that's under review for a 37-foot heave as the buzzer is expiring.
With one hand fading backwards.
With one hand fading backwards. They call the shooting foul on Brunson. Now with no time left on the clock, Holiday gets to go to the line for 3. That's just a call that you don't make in the NBA at all. Especially not, and you don't do that.
Not to a superstar.
You don't make that at all. You don't make a call like that.
You don't make it at all.
On a heave.
And then if you make it, you don't make it to a superstar.
To the point where immediately after, not 20 minutes after the game, the fucking The guys are still in towels after showering after the game, and fucking Ed Malloy, the head official of the game, of the crew, comes out and says, yeah, upon further review, there was marginal contact. He didn't affect his landing zone at all. It shouldn't have been called. You knew that when you were checking the clock to see how much time was left on the clock. You knew it shouldn't have been called. It was clear as day to anybody with eyes watching the replay that there was no foul there. When you combine that with the fact that they had already called Dante DiVincenzo for a leg kick foul that was he definitely kicked the leg out, but it was already questionable there, and you decided to take away that fucking foul from him. To go back, this was your perfect opportunity to just call no foul, let these boys settle it in overtime. Let's take it even further, and I don't have the numbers directly in front of me right now, but if it's a simple Google search or a Twitter search, you could find it for me. In that game against the Rockets, the New York Knicks nearly had the Rockets doubled up on points in the paint, shots attempted in the paint, 2-point shots, and offensive rebounds. Despite all of this, the New York Knicks only took 11 free throws to the Rockets' 33. That doesn't add up. That simply doesn't add up from a basketball standpoint. There is no way that you outshoot your opponent.
Yeah, I got it here.
You have it?
Knicks took 92 shots. Rockets took 80. Knicks took 36 threes. Rockets took 26. Knicks took 12 free throws. Rockets took 33. What was the other stat?
I was looking for points in the paint and offensive rebounds.
Hold on.
Offensive rebounds,
Fast break
19
points,
to 12.
21 to 12. Steals is
No, I want points in the
offensive rebounds. They out rebounded them total. The math on that is
Offensive rebounds was 19 to 12.
yeah.
Points in the paint, I got to figure out. I don't know. I don't have that stat on here.
The point stands that when you're talking about basketball, the nature of the game, when one team almost doubles up another team on points in the paint, shots at the basket, all of these stats in close where it gets muddy and dirty, there is, at the very least, that needs to be within 5 shot attempts on free throws between those two teams. If we're calling it just how it is most of the time, there is no way that you should be tripled up on free throws when you were getting outshot and out-hustled in the paint. There's no way that makes logical sense from a basketball
The
standpoint.
Knicks took more shots, had a better field goal percentage, and out-rebounded, as well as scored on the fast break more, led in blocks, and still couldn't.
No, right, but I'm specifically talking about
20 free throw difference is inexcusable almost. And that's another point I do have to make is
points in paint is 58 to 50, but I wish I could see the shots.
While they're still
the
looking
paint.
at that, I think
Who's just
superstar
here?
calls are a silly,
Who's
dumb
just
concept in the NBA. I think
I agree.
I
But
think
it is what
pandering
it is.
to the best players in the league, although that's how you make money, and that's how
You're
you
looking for the shot, Matt.
get eyes. I don't think it's not necessary for a
I mean,
sport
they're
that's already so that can already fluctuate night to night. Hockey and basketball are the two sports in the world that can only that can fluctuate so much so because the teams could either be so even or uneven, unbalanced. However good or bad the team is, you don't know who could come away with the win on a certain night. Obviously, you have an idea, but the Pistons could come out with their hair on fire, and they've done it to a ton of teams this year, and they still lost the game. It's
Right, I
it's pandering to superstar calls. To me, it's stupid, and I think the NBA should tighten up on it, but they won't because sports are a business, and I think it's dumb.
Breaking news from Bryan's phone from Bleacher Report. Just now, tonight, Steve Kerr is benching Klay Thompson in favor of Pajemski.
Oh my God! I took Bajemski points tonight. Let's go.
Nice.
Klay Thompson will be moving to the bench for the first time since his rookie season, and I do believe this is the beginning of the end for Klay Thompson in Golden State, unfortunately. And I mean, maybe his career. He did talk about it the other night. He is 35, coming off of the ACL, back-to-back with the Achilles tendon injury. But oh my God, was it last night? What a low IQ move from such a great player. Did you guys see this?
No.
Warriors down by 6 with about 40 or so seconds left on the clock. I don't know what the foul to give situation was, but they're down by 6. Pajemski drains a fucking corner 3. 39.2 seconds, I want to say, left on the clock. We're down by 3 now. Play fucking defense. The shot clock's still on. Play good defense. Get a ball.
Fouls him.
Fouls him immediately. Take foul right off of the inbound. Sends him to the line. So they didn't have a foul to give. Immediately has a take foul on the inbound. Send him to the line. Ends the game.
Damn.
That is the basketball IQ of a fucking potato.
You would say he has the object permanence of a frog.
Sure. That works too. Did you have another basketball point you wanted to make?
I mean, you guys, as you guys were reviewing the information, I made the quick point that pandering to superstar calls and the concept that they exist is a dumb idea.
That's always existed and it's always going to exist.
And it doesn't exist in other sports. And that's the problem.
NBA is the only superstar-driven league in the Big Four.
And that's the problem because that's the sports are a business.
And because basketball is the only sport in the Big Four, I mean, like, I don't know enough about soccer at a pro level to speak on it as much. Obviously, Messi dominates. But I think basketball is the only sport where you could have 1 or 2 great players, and it doesn't matter who else is on your team. You're still going to go compete. You're still going to probably make it to the second round of the playoffs.
So my concept here with the European football, also known as in America soccer, is the refs are as truly neutral as they can get because the way they go about officiating the game is a lot different.
I'm not even talking about refereeing. I just mean superstars dominating the game.
Yeah, but I'm saying in terms of the entire rest of any sport, superstar calls don't exist. Maybe in the NFL they do a little bit.
For those who might care about soccer, a fun fact, they just introduced a new card. They just introduced the blue card in soccer.
What?
Which will send you off of the pitch for a minimum of 10 minutes, and if you get 2 of them, it is equivalent to a red card. So basically similar to a yellow card, except you're required to leave the pitch for a minimum of 10 game minutes, for what that's worth.
Oh, that's for aggressive tackles.
I guess. I don't know what it's for.
Questionable moves, aggressive tackles.
I guess it's
that's
like a technical.
So in the World Cup a couple of years, it's similar to a technical. So in a World Cup a couple of years ago, I believe it was like Italy versus someone. It wasn't a couple of years ago. It was probably a decade at this point. This guy Luis Suarez went up for a head, like a header, and just bit this guy. He's just straight up bit him.
They were pulling his teeth out of his head.
Yeah.
So I have just one quick point, and it's like I'm kind of me beating my chest a little bit about the Knicks. You guys and the Knicks fan base at large felt a certain type of way about Julius Randle, right? And
I know what you're gonna say.
I told everybody you needed Julius Randle's production in the regular season to get them there. Whether he fell apart in the playoffs last year or not, you need to replace that production some way, somehow. Now Julius Randle isn't here, and look what's going on.
What's the word? I lost the word I'm looking for here, but you found the same production in Brunson until everything got fucking plastered. Until everyone went down, you found the same production.
Brunson was playing out of his fucking mind while everyone was gone.
Yeah. And what was Randall doing whenever the Knicks were they were fun to watch when they were shitty, and they miraculously made the 4 seed a couple years ago.
Randall wasn't producing in that season?
Randall was playing out of his mind.
No, he's right. It's hard to recreate 25 points and 12 rebounds.
I see what you're saying. This is a new Knicks team. I think we need to talk about this team differently now, and we got to wait until the injuries come. Until we clear health.
I'm all in on our New York Knickerbockers. I'm all in on the team. I think that they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Minimum.
I think they're the best defensive team in the league.
I think a lot of people wanted to see Randall gone, and they didn't even care if they got back a bag of cones for him. And I think we're seeing over the last 2 weeks that that's just simply not true. They need Julius Randle to be the best version of themselves right now. They also obviously need Mitch, and I'm worried about iHeart because he is routinely missing games now for Achilles problems, which typically only leads to one thing in the end. And They need Mitch. They need Ihart. They need Julius Randle back. They need size. Somehow they're dominating teams on the boards, on the glass, while they're running out 3 and 4 guard sets and really don't even have a true center to play right now.
Mr. Precious Achua.
Precious,
Yeah,
yeah.
that guy's gonna lights out.
Precious Achua is playing amazing. He had 25 rebound games since he's been on the Knicks. Josh Hart rebounds like no other fucking guard in the NBA. But they're hurting on the size, and I am hoping that Randall and Mitch and Ihart and OG come back, and this team transforms itself. I just don't want them to be. It was a classic, all-time 15-game run from Brunson, and that's all it was. You know. And the one other thing I'll say about the Knicks, I just said I'm worried about it. The one other thing that I have to say about the Knicks, didn't like the trade when it happened. I've come around on Bojan Bogdanovic. I think Alec Burks was a fucking waste of an acquisition. I think Alec Burks is everything this Knicks team does not need. He is an absolute ball stopper on offense. All he does is stick the ball to his palm and take dog shit shots. And it doesn't matter how many he misses, he's going to still take dog shit shots. And I have a problem with the fact that this man pulls up with nobody near him from 25 feet, 30 feet away, and fades and kicks one leg out for no fucking reason.
That's how he's always played.
It's fine if it goes in. It's not fine when you're 0 for 7 and still keep shooting fadeaways with nobody on you.
But what would you say, Jim? What do you need? You need an irrational confidence guy.
A rational confidence guy and an absolute ball
They
stopper.
got one, and Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah, I think Dante DiVincenzo
He
is
is
the
kind
rational
of
confidence guy.
there, yeah.
Well,
I feel like he's more than that,
and
though.
Burks
He's a
could be-
significant piece.
Burks could be fine as an irrational confidence guy, but pass the fucking ball. It can't be Carmelo Anthony offense every time Alec Burks gets the ball. It's one thing when future Hall of Famer Carmelo Anthony does it. It's another when career journeyman Alec Burks does it. He's chased out of every fucking town he's in, including the Knicks 2 years ago. He gets chased out of every town he's in. I don't think he finishes contracts most of the time. Granted, we'll give the Knicks overall 2 thumbs up. They added all that depth. They added a lot of nice pieces without giving up a single first-round pick. I know they're undermanned right now. Tibbs needs to get a handle on Burks' shot taking for this thing to continue. Because Bojan also missing shots. What did Bojan do when he started missing shots? Put the ball in the basket and got to the lane and found a way to be a positive asset for the team. Burks missed shots. He just keeps shooting them.
Well, you got to look at the state of the team right now. The average age of the team is, I think, probably 20, 21. You got Jacob Toppin, a guy on a two-way rookie, not even rookie, a two-way G League contract.
It is a two-way rookie deal.
Two-way rookie deal. You have Deuce McBride, not a shot taker, I would say. More of a looking to create. Definitely,
Yeah.
I wouldn't call him a shot taker. He takes shots when he's open.
He's okay. I think he's okay.
His role in these past couple of games has not to been taking shots. It has to been taking shots, but it's still a young guy at the end of the day. He's not going to be, he's not going to be Alec Burks, who's a career journeyman. The state of the team right now, I'm going to preface this as much as we can. As much as it fucking hurts and it sucks to watch this Knicks team, you gotta roll with the punches, because at the end of this break they gotta come out. Bojan's gotta be firing on all cylinders. We need Alec Burks needs to go to the bench and needs to stay on the bench. They gotta come out of this All-Star break
He is coming off the bench.
I believe he started last night. What I'm trying to say is this team, now that once the injuries start to unfold and come back, once we get healthy, this is a different team. This is not the team you're looking at. Because Alec Burks isn't going to be playing 34 fucking minutes. He's going to be playing 12, maybe 5. Okay? And if 5 minutes as an irrational confidence guy, you shoot 3 threes and you hit 2, I'm fucking happy.
No way.
You go 5 for fucking 9. I don't care. At the end of the day, this unit that we're seeing now is not the unit we have. It's going to be Brunson, it's going to be DiVincenzo, it's going to be OG, it's going to be Randall, and it's going to be Ihart. And if they go to Mitch, I don't even want to think about it. Because Mitch and Achua need to come off the bench. What the bench unit needs to do is they need to play defense and they need to rebound. They don't need to score.
No, they 100% need to score. That was the problem that they addressed by getting Burks and Bogdanovich at the trade deadline. Is
That's the problem. You need to move Boyan to the starting lineup,
they need
and
to improve
Devo
bench
needs to
scoring.
come off the bench, and he needs to be the bench leader. And I feel like being a 6-man in that Knicks rotation right now is more valuable than being the starting 2-guard. Because realistically, DiVincenzo has been playing out of his mind, right? He's the big ragu, the irrational confidence guy, and now he's a major piece on this Knicks team.
Right, but I think part of that comes from the confidence that comes with being a starter for the New York Knicks versus being a 6-man. But I don't want to harp too long on this because we've been going a long time already. I want to pose a question, and then we're going to get into some All-Star Weekend action as far as gambling lines are concerned. I want to pose this question to everyone in the room, but I feel like Alessino is probably going to have the most experience in answering it, just in terms of watching the league. And I'm going to open this with saying that I am stealing the concept and the conversation from Nick Wright and Colin Coward from FS1. They had this conversation earlier in the week, or last week, within the last 2 weeks. To the casual viewer, to the regular fan, does the NBA have a superstar problem?
In terms of
primetime Saturday night games, Thursday night games, primetime Friday night, stuff that the casuals are going to be watching. They are milking the tit of LeBron James and Steph Curry for absolutely everything that it's worth. And this is the point that Coward and Nick Wright brought up. They have not set themselves up as a league for life after LeBron and Curry. They do not
I
have
agree.
They do not have the casual fan invested in Anthony Edwards the way they should be. They do not have the casual fan invested in all of the young talent on Orlando. They do not have the casual fans invested in Minnesota at all, really. They do not have a plan for who's going to be the box office guy for life after Curry and LeBron. And one way that you fix this is, hey, instead of putting 39-year-old LeBron in the 11th seed Lakers against fucking 35-year-old Curry and the 8th or 9th, whatever they are, seeded Warriors in the 10 o'clock Saturday night matchup, why can't we get a little Edwards in there? Why can't we get a little bit? Now, I know why it can't be Wemby because the Spurs are god-awful. But they have a problem. They need to start now why they still have LeBron and Curry to lean on. They need to start training the fans for who the superstars are. Because basketball, unlike football, is a game where you can kind of WWE in a way manufacture who the superstars are going to be or push the stars, right? Like we can put Anthony Edwards in a position on primetime television to go take that spot as a superstar.
Here's the problem, because the schedule after the All-Star break gets a little weird.
I want to get to the All-Star break, so
10 o'clock games next Friday. How many do you think,
3.
Brian?
NBA games?
Yes. 10 o'clock. So they start at 10 or later.
10 p.m.
10 p.m. or later on a Friday night.
During All-Star Week?
After. Post All-Star break.
Yeah, I would probably guess 3. It's usually 3 or 4, isn't it?
Mr. Alessino.
10 o'clock games, 5.
4 10 o'clock games, one starting at 10:30.
Late night.
Right? I'm going to read the teams off. I'm going to read the matchups for
West
you.
Coast games.
Yeah.
Ready?
And football's over.
Nuggets Blazers. That's a superstar matchup. Not for
it isn't.
Not for the Blazers. You get to watch Jokic in primetime on a Friday night.
Yeah, but who's going to turn in to watch them? Fucking, they're probably going to be 13-point favorites in that game.
All right, ready? Warriors Hornets, or Hornets Warriors, I believe.
Dog shit.
Bucks T-Wolves,
That's a good matchup.
and then at 10:30 Spurs Lakers. They're milking the markets. They always have. They always will, and it's not going to change. They're going to milk everything they can out of Wembanyama before they even look at teams like Minnesota, because Minnesota isn't a big market.
Right, but neither's Cleveland, and they organically got the ability to fucking waltz in, transition from Kobe to LeBron, where there was a seamless transition as a superstar. They were able to seamlessly transition from Kobe to Jordan, from Jordan to Kobe, rather, as he came in as a superstar. Granted, LA, fine, whatever. They've had opportunities with guys, and part of it probably stems from the fact that LeBron is doing unthinkable things at the age of 39 years old. But they have had opportunities now to kind of prepare everybody and get us to start talking about the next new guys that are next up. But instead, all they keep pushing and sucking on is Curry and LeBron. And if it wasn't for Curry and LeBron, I believe they would have they aren't really pushing on Wembanyama. They're pushing him on social media and his clips of the things that he does that are crazy. But
I get 4 Bleacher Report notifications on Spurs games every night.
That's Bleacher Report. That's not the NBA. How often are they on national television? You can't put them on national television because they have 10 fucking wins. They're in the bottom of the NBA, and they're barely competing in most of these losses. Wemby is going to do 5 crazy, sick things every night in a game that they lose by 20. And that's part of the reason you can't push Wemby yet. But there's no reason Anthony Edwards isn't a more common name. There's no reason Jason Tatum isn't a more common name.
Well,
Tatum's pretty massive, dude, and I hate that fucking guy. I think that guy's.
they don't want to. They don't
To
want
us,
to.
he
They don't
is.
want to give. They don't want to give it to Tatum.
He
They don't.
doesn't
They're not
deserve
ready
it.
to give it to Tatum. They would have done it already.
Quite
You know what I'm
frankly, he
saying?
doesn't deserve it.
Well, doesn't deserve it is a weird thing. I think he does. I just think that
What has he done?
Four straight.
If it was me, and Jimmy, you're right. They're all in on this whole Victor working out and everything being great. If it was me, it would be Anthony Edwards. It would be SGA.
SGA is another guy whose name I couldn't think of. Thank
They're
you.
pushing
Yeah.
the Thunder though on live television now. They are. You can see it.
And then obviously you need an East Coast presence.
It's
And
all about
honestly,
the
I
top
hate
of
to
the
say
East
it.
now.
Can I say something about the East Coast presence and young,
Go ahead.
as far as young superstars are concerned? I think it was Wednesday night the Magic played on national television. Right? I think it was Wednesday night they played a nationally televised game. Paolo Banchero has played 126 games in the NBA as a number 1 overall pick in this league. That was his first game nationally televised since being drafted.
Yeah, that's wild. That's
That
a
was
really
the-
good statistic.
That was the Orlando Magic's first nationally televised game since drafting the number 1 overall pick. Normally, drafting the number 1 overall pick, even if it's fucking Anthony Bennett, that winds up guaranteeing you 6 or 7 national games.
Well, that's wild. Because Pablo could play.
Pablo?
Paolo.
Pablo, whatever.
Yeah.
You can play. I was going to say Tyrese Halliburton. That's
Tyre-
probably another guy they should. And even Tyrese Maxey.
Well, Maxey gets plenty of play. The problem is Embiid's there.
Yeah.
Let's look at some odds and some gambling for All-Star
Didn't have
Weekend. What?
They didn't have anything on DraftKings yet.
Really?
Yeah, look.
Did you check? Was Bet Big? Did it have anything?
We can check that big. I didn't even think about that.
It doesn't start till, it starts tonight, but they're not really kicking it off till after the weekend, right?
Well, Friday you'll have the celebrity game and the
Rising Stars.
Rising Stars is Saturday, I think,
Not that big's not loaded.
or maybe it's not.
Caitlin Clark broke the record for WNBA.
Of course she did.
NCAA.
She only had 7 points to go or whatever. She broke the record or Kelsey Plum's record.
Kelsey Plum.
Yeah, so she's still got a little bit to go to break Pistol Pete Maravich's record, but
NCAA basketball or
she broke the women's record. Yeah, but she's close to Pistol Pete's record. And if and when she does break Pistol Pete's record, it's worth noting that Pete Maravich had that record for however long it's been now.
4 decades.
He only played 3 seasons in basketball before the three-point line. So even if and when that record does get broken, I think there's something to be said about the fact that Pete did it in 1 season less with no three-point line. Caitlin Clark, obviously a very good three-point shooter.
Yeah.
Coming into, we're really ultimately looking for three-point contest, dunk, and
I have the 3-point contest.
What are
odds.
the do you have
Here we
the
go.
odds
3
on Curry versus Ionescu?
I just pulled up 3 points.
No, I have 3-point contest odds. Is what I have.
I have 3-point skills challenge, rising star, slam dunk.
Oh, they're not offering action on that other one.
Let's hear. I would bet so much money on Sabrina Ionescu.
Where do you want to go first?
Let's go 3-point first.
All right, so it looks like in this order: Damian Lillard plus 400, Halliburton plus 450, Trae Young plus 550, Malik Beasley 550, Cat 550, Jalen Brunson 550, Lauri Markkanen, if I'm saying that last name
Lauri
right,
Markkanen.
plus 600, and then Donovan Mitchell is plus 650.
Where is that on?
That's
Bet Big.
on Bet Big.
Okay, I have FanDuel's here, but yeah, it's a little different, but it's okay. Whatever.
What do you have?
370s Lillard, 440s Brunson, Halliburton, 550s Trae Young, 650s Malik Beasley, 700 is Brunson, 700 is Karl-Anthony Towns, 800 is Lauri Markkanen, and 950 is Donovan Mitchell. So 700 is Brunson, which is who I like.
Of the bigs, I would be more inclined to go Markkanen over Cat. I mean, ultimately, this isn't really a competition for the bigs. I think Markkanen's stroke, leads a little bit more in a competition like this. At the same token, I'm going to mention the fact that I do not like Halliburton for the same reason. Halliburton's got a little bit of a hitch in his shot, a little bit of a slowness to the top of his shot.
Those guys with the hitch, once they get going, they go.
No, I know, but I just don't know if it really plays into this sort of a contest. I mean, look, I'm going to tell you straight up, we're Knicks fans, I'm betting on Jalen Brunson.
Me too.
You know what? I'm going to shock the world here, and you're going to hate me. Give me the lollipop, baby.
Trae
My
Young?
money's on Trae.
Trae Young.
Nice Trae,
Young,
baby.
the lollipop?
Yeah.
The lollipop, man.
His
dude.
hair.
Yeah, that's
Throw a
interesting.
lollipop at it, it gets stuck.
Yeah, dude. Nah, he just looks like a lollipop with hair on it.
Oh my gosh.
Where do you
Nah,
want to go next?
So before I do have a point to make about it. Trae Young was snubbed from the game. Snubbed from the All-Star game.
No, he wasn't. He sucks.
He's shooting the highest three-point percentage in the entire league.
He's a fucking...
At like 44% clip, which is amazing.
and his team is garbage, and they're talking about trading one of, if not both of them in the summer. Des Murray and Trae Young.
That's great. We're talking about all-star three-point odds. I think Trey's got it on lock, dude.
I disagree.
Where else do we want to go?
Let's go to the Sprite Slam Dunk.
The Sprite
Doesn't
Slam
it?
Dunk.
Wait, is it the Sprite Slam
It might
Dunk?
not be
Or-
anymore.
Okay, I was gonna
It
say.
just says Slam Dunk.
I just want to just bring back the Sprite Slam Cam, man.
We got Mac McClung minus 225,
Gross.
Jalen Brown plus 400, Jacob Toppin plus 500, and Jamie Jacques Jr.
Jaime
Oh,
Jaquez
it's
Jr.
Jaime Jaquez Jr. Sorry, everybody. Plus 650.
Give me Jaquez.
Ooh.
No doubt.
I mean, I love Mac McClung. Speaking of white excellence in sport, I do love Mac McClung. But here's where my wager is going. I'm going to take Jalen Brown, and my reasoning for this is because it's the first time that we're actually seeing a true star, if not superstar, in the league entering the dunk contest for the first time in a very long time. And I'm hoping if Jalen Brown can win and get some serious buzz going, that will lead other stars to want to join this contest in the future. Because let's be honest, this is not a fun event when Jacob Toppin and fucking Jaime Jaquez Jr. and and G League All-Star Mac McClung. If you're in the G
Jaime
League,
Jaquez Jr. is a two-time high school slam dunk champion.
that's great. I want star power
My
in
man's
the NBA.
been here before. He's got it. I've
He
seen
does
this.
not
You
have
gotta watch
star
the tape,
power.
dude. You gotta watch
He's
the
not a
tape.
star. Brian called him Jamie. He doesn't even know his name.
I
He
don't know
thought,
his name.
Brian thought that was young Jamie from the Joe Rogan Experience. They
not
just
what I
invited
thought.
him to
Jamie,
the
look
fucking
that
dunk
up.
contest. Dude.
No, you gotta watch the tape. And you know what? I'll take it. I'll parlay that with Trae Young, dude.
Ooh.
Give me fucking plus 3,000 or more.
I don't know if you're gonna get those.
Brian,
kind
can
of
you
odds.
parlay that for me?
I don't know if
You
we
can't
can.
parlay
I was
on
going to
that.
say, I don't think
You're
you
not
can do
gonna
that.
be
with
able
Oh,
to.
that's ridiculousness.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to.
So who's your pick?
Matt McClung.
You're gonna take Mac McClung. I
I'll take
just
him
feel
'cause he's
like
the
if
only
you
one I
play
know.
in the G League, you should not be invited to All-Star Weekend.
Because he's a professional dunker, that's why.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Just put
but-
Jordan Kilgannon
So
in it. Why
he's
not?
gonna bring things that no one's ever seen before.
Put
the
Dan Gross
dunk-
in the slam dunk contest.
The dunk contest should be 4 superstars or 4 professional dunkers. What are we doing?
You're right. Get Jordan Kilgannon out there.
That's what I'm saying. I'd rather see that than
Bro, you know the hide and seek
Obi Toppin's brother. What are we talking about?
You know the hide and seek dunk that Jordan Kilgannon does.
Behind the back,
Yeah.
up, over.
So he's working on a new variation of that where it's the hide and seek dunk into a honey dip.
He's done it
Yeah.
before. I've seen
No,
it.
I
What do you?
I can
you gotta
show you the
define
Instagram
boundaries.
clip.
I
saw
watched
it
the
2
clip of
months
him 2
ago.
days ago missing it and saying working on a new version of the hide and seek dunk.
Alright,
But
you ever
regardless,
see the Scorpion?
yeah, Scorpion's fucking dumb, dude. It's so crazy what that guy does. Did you hear what I said about Jaylen Brown?
No, it cut out.
I said I'm taking Jaylen Brown, and part of my reasoning for this is because it's refreshing to see a bona fide star, if not borderline superstar, in our league today entering the dunk contest. And I'm hoping if he can win the thing and generate some buzz and excitement and electricity about it, we'll see more superstars join in the near future.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with that.
Skills challenge?
Skills challenge.
It's team based now, which is
Yeah, it's just top picks plus 120, All Stars plus 140, Pacers 180.
The Pacers have their own team.
Yeah, so the new thing with the skills challenge is any team that hosts or any city that hosts their team gets their own skills challenge team. And Cleveland won last year, and they hosted the All-Star
There you
game.
go.
So your money could be on the Pacers. Who is it? Mathurin, Halliburton, and Miles Turner?
And who?
Turner. Miles Turner, right?
Yeah.
I'll take the hometown guys for whatever reason.
Plus 185.
Now, so the Rising Stars Challenge, which I don't even know how much it's worth talking about because we're going to start getting into rosters and all kinds of nonsense, but it should be fun to watch this year. So they changed up the Rising Stars Challenge this year. 4 teams will play in a single elimination. You know, basically 3 games will be played. 4 teams will play.
Oh, yeah?
4 teams will play a semifinal game, and then there will be a final game, and I believe that is going to happen on Friday night after the Celebrity All-Star game. So let's move on to the big kahuna, the whole reason we're all here, the NBA All-Star game. Right off the bat, I got to say, we're going back to East versus West, and I think that's the right move. I think that makes it a little bit more interesting. I think that makes these guys care a little bit more. It's got less of like we're just playing with all of our friends vibe to it, even though that is ultimately what the All-Star game is. I think the fans will be more invested this way. And they just never really figured out the whole schoolyard team captain pick the team deal that they had going on.
Yeah. Well, some of it was fun.
I'm trying to find odds, but
Do we have odds on the All-Star game?
I don't know if we do yet. Let me see.
Either way, I'm taking the West. The West dominates every year.
I don't know how accurate this is, but yeah, it's West -3, and the over/under is 361. So,
Jesus
there you
Christ. The over-under is 361. I'm going to take the over for sure.
I'm going to take nothing besides MVP of the game,
And who are you going to pick?
Jalen Brunson.
Let's go.
I just had that up, but I closed it.
That's all right. Who cares? Jack, what do you got?
MVP of the, I took the West already. MVP of the All-Star game. SGA.
Okay.
I'll take Brunson.
How about the
Just 'cause it's
over-under
nice.
361 points?
Over.
Yeah, I'll take over.
Are we still
Yeah.
doing the gimmick where the last quarter is or the last quarter of the game is to a certain score?
I don't know.
It's the combined score plus 24 for Kobe. Is that what it is, or is it plus 32?
I'm not sure.
To
I'm not sure either. But I do know that I got other. Did you guys see AJ McCarron?
No, what about him?
He requested his release from the Cincinnati Bengals
Oh, okay.
This year?
20 hours ago,
I didn't know he was on the Bengals. Why?
so he can rejoin the UFL.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Do your thing.
Yeah, no, because I know he said that a couple of years ago when he was offered backup jobs and camp jobs in the NFL. He said that he's pretty much content with where his career's gone and he'd rather go play in the USFL where he can be a starter so that way his kids can actually watch him play.
Yeah,
Makes
that's
sense.
legit.
Yeah. I didn't even know he went back to the league this year.
No,
Yeah.
and then
I mean, I
I
don't.
also
I don't know.
I'm all over the place, but I'm just seeing these reports. It's crazy.
That's fine.
I wouldn't knock them at all.
I'm ready to close it out. If you guys got anything else.
No, I mean it's All-Star weekend. You know, enjoy the festivities. Look at your teams. Get ready. Get steady because we're about to be in the final push of the NBA season. What is it? 30-something games left? Like 32?
Something like that.
32, yeah.
It's gonna be a fun one.
Alice, you know anything else?
32 games left. Just get healthy.
Get it right. Get it tight.
That is literally the name of the game for the Knicks. Get healthy. You have enough in the bag to get deep into this playoff run.
So we'll be coming back next Thursday, just at the end of the All-Star break, heading into the final third of the NBA season. We'll talk some basketball. Maybe we'll have some NFL news to discuss. And we will still figure out if/what we want to do with the Tuesday slot going forward for the off season. Haven't figured that out. We need to sit down as a team and figure out what we want to do. Whether it be more Parlay-Vous, more sports discussion, or we pivot to something else, or we just, take a little break and do one podcast a week for a couple of months. It's all on the table, all to be discussed and had. For now, we're signing off, and we're brought to you by House of Havoc Podcasting, Stay Thirsty Company, Stano Skate Park, and Justin's Chop Shop of West Hampton Beach. Peace out.
Stay tuned. Roll credits.